The US state of North Carolina has passed legislation banning most abortions after 12 weeks of pregnancy. It comes after the state's Republican-controlled General Assembly overrode a veto from the Democratic governor. The law bans abortions after the first trimester, except in cases of rape, incest, life-limiting fetal anomalies and medical emergencies. Abortion is now banned or severely restricted in much of the South, with Georgia's laws only allowing a window for the first 6 weeks of pregnancy. The Carolinas, Florida and Virginia are the main destinations to seek a legal abortion. However, in Florida, the procedure is banned after 15 weeks of pregnancy, with a court ruling pending to tighten this to 6 weeks. CBS News correspondent Caitlin Huey-Burns is in Raleigh in North Carolina, and I asked her to explain just what's happened and what the implications are.
Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, we have seen this now go to the states. And now several states, now with North Carolina, 19 states have either banned or restricted the procedure. And so what you have in the United States now when it comes to abortion access is a real patchwork of laws. Your rights to the procedure really now depend on where you live in the country. And so the question now is, are other states going to move to enact further restrictions? In the South, that's a really important what's happened here in North Carolina, because in the South now there are only just 2 states that will have relatively unrestricted access to abortions. That's Virginia and South Carolina. But in South Carolina, they are working to pass a 6-week ban. And in Virginia, Democrats in the state assembly were able to deny a 15-week ban, but the governor there does support that restriction. So a lot remains to be seen, but the big headlines this morning here in the U.S. are that the South now has greater restrictions.
A really interesting reaction, quite an interesting political situation in North Carolina, because this was after a veto. A veto was overridden that had been put in by the Democratic governor, Roy Cooper, and he's made a statement. He said, "We will never stop fighting to protect women's health, never stop fighting to protect the health of women here." So there are strong views on both sides. Where's the future? Is there any way back now for North Carolina? Can this be overridden again?
Well, it will be very difficult to make changes to the law now. The governor told us in an interview earlier this week that he will use whatever executive authority he has on the issue of abortion. But really, this has been up to the state legislature. And you mentioned that the legislature has a supermajority, and that's a new thing here in North Carolina. A Democrat earlier this year, just last month actually, switched her registration to Republican, and that's what gave the Republican Party the numbers to be able to override this veto from the governor. So there's very little that he can do unilaterally, but he told us that he will try to do everything that he can. Now, this bill does include some exceptions, as you mentioned, at the top, and Republicans who pushed for this bill have argued that it's not as restrictive as some of the other neighboring states in the South, but advocates here that we've been speaking to over the past several months had been worried about something like this happening and the uncertainty that it means for those seeking the procedure here.